going to give you a quick demo of our CTN Network website, ctnnetwork.net. Join our community. It is free. You just type in ctnnetwork.net. And this shows you all the CTN family members that are content creators. Everybody is on here. If you want to go to one of their YouTube channels, for example, if you want to go to Crypto Talk Now, just click on channel and it takes you right over to the YouTube channel for that particular creator. And you click on community. This is our community right here. We do have a forum, and this is a forum where you can post things, you can interact with one another. And there's also a blog right over here that we post our own content on. And if you click on CTN Studios, you can watch our live show and other content creators' live shows right through this CTN Studios. We do have advertisements for some of the content creators. There's the Crypto Smith, there's Waddy, the Crypto Hunter, and we also have live charts for the ISOs right in this box right here. We have a feature where you click on the heart if you want to donate to us. You can donate with Ethereum or Binance, BNB. And also, if you click on this button right here, we're going to have a call-in feature, which is already live. If you want to call us, just click on the green icon, the green phone icon, and click on Call Now. And during the show, between 9:15 and 10, when we announce it, when Max is on or when I'm on with Max, we will start accepting phone calls, and you guys can be live with the show. If you want to turn your video on, you can come on camera as well. So good stuff there. Now back onto the homepage. If you click on members, you can see all the people that are members here. All these people here, like Chaka just signed up, Gills33, Miguel. All these people here are members of our community. So you guys can sign up and then you can chat with one another. So you can either click over here, message right here. So what I'm going to do, guys, is I'm just going to welcome him. I'll send him a quick message, and then I can click enter or just a little arrow. If you want to message somebody else, you can click on message, or you can go right over here into members chat and go ahead and message them and create a new chat if you want by clicking this little button right here. Now, also, if you scroll down here, you can see some of the past videos that our content creators in our content creator family have created. You can go in here and watch some of the recorded videos. They're scrolling down here. Just choose one to watch. And that's it, guys. Thank you for watching this brief demo. Make sure you sign up so you can interact and be part of the community when we are not on the live show.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here with you guys tonight for this wonderful Friday edition of Crypto Talk Now to talk about the long-awaited bull run thesis part 7. And I thought I would do it on the live instead of a recorded, but I also will make a recording for people who didn't watch the live, of course. But with that said, we're going to, of course, welcome our wonderful community that is here tonight. And congratulations. You made it to Friday, best day of the week. So smash that like if you haven't done so already. Just give you guys a heads up. This will not be WrestleMania. We're looking at probably, hour to hour and 15 minutes tops for tonight. Suns are, of course, playing. They're down 2-0, unfortunately. This is a must win for them moving forward. So go Suns, and hopefully ends up being a good game. But for you guys who could give a crap about the Suns, it's okay. what about this whole talk of what's going on in the market and so on, right? We're going to get into all that here tonight. Again, smash that like if you haven't done so already. And again, thank you so much for being here with us tonight. So I'm going to turn on a few particular things on the HUD, and let's see what we have. There we go. That looks a lot better. All right. I'm going to start off with the first comment of the day, and it comes from the one, the only. Who is it? It's from Mr. Dingy. Thank you so much. Welcome back. He states that he started a campfire. Interesting. And he says it was a long wait. Huh. Well, it could be a long wait as far as the show. I mean, we did start for the most part right on time. But it must have been a long wait for you to get your campfire going. Maybe. I don't know. JC the Man, welcome. Thanks for being back here, Mr. JC the Man. You can give him a follow on YouTube. And it's right there, like you see, JC the Man. In fact, we can take a moment to see how you're doing on your channel real quick. If I could just get this darn keyboard to not be all fidgety. Give me a second. Man, I don't know what the heck's going on with this thing. Every now and then, it just kind of acts up. All right, so you can go over to, for instance, this right here, ctnnetwork.net. And when you go here, you'll notice that we have a creators section. Here it is, basically. Oh, man, what is going on with this thing? Hold on a second. I see what happened. All right. Yes, and then once you go to creators, we have a whole lineup of people. 2-Bit, Chaka, right? Us, obviously. And you scroll down, and you'll see somebody like JC the Man. You click on channel, and it takes you right to his channel. He's currently at 103 subs, which is a big milestone. But, you know, help a fellow brother out from the CTN network family. He has some newer videos, memes, games, all sorts of stuff. All right. Give him a follow, and maybe you could tick up to at least 105, maybe even 110. You never know. We'll leave that up for him. All right. I also want to welcome the wonderful Tim Shea, who says, hey, glad to have you here, Mr. Tim Shea, the mayor of crypto, the crypto commissioner. Okay. Brittany, welcome back. Happy Friday to you as well. Glad to have you here. Mike, hello, everyone. Hello to you, Mike. Thank you so much, you guys, for being here tonight. Ahmed, ladies and gentlemen. Mr. Boomer F. Sooner says, sup, Mighty Max. Sup to you. Glad to have you here, Mr. Boomer Effin' Sooner. All right. February 14th, 2024. Boomer says Shiba somewhere around May 24th, 41.24. Okay. These are good questions for you guys. I mean, for me, you know, I don't really count 2016 Bitcoin, you know, but I count the altcoins, you know, late 2020, early 2021. I mainly say 2021, you know, January 2021. Okay, I'm going to go further down into the comments. Welcome a few more of you guys. I want to welcome Mr. KK, who's in the house. Thanks for being here, KK. Always appreciate you. And let's see what else we got. Centrifuge, glad to have you here, man. Welcome back, Centrifuge. Thanks for giving me a follow back on Twitter. That was nice of you. Yeah, smash that like for all of us, actually. Thank you, though, Larry. Calvin says shot tequila is in order. Welcome, Mr. Calvin. All right. Mr. Max, the Jasmine King, or Mr. Quan, I can't remember it all. All right. I want to also welcome back Open Mind, who definitely encourages everybody to have an open mind, right? Absolutely. Thank you for being back here, Mr. Open Mind. Jasmine is moving, and it's a nice thing to see some of these things, right? At the end of the day, it's like, you report on something for so long, and do research and all that type of stuff, you want to see the market do well. You want to see your particular digital asset do well, right? In fact, here is what's going on with obviously that this watch list of mine. Mr. PayPay is almost 7-day chart is almost up 1,000%. I mean, that's insane. I think I saw this at ranked 37th at one point today, maybe even higher. All right, you guys are right. For some of you guys that got into this early, I mean, this was at 7 zeros. It's now at 5 zeros, 2 zeros. That's insane. But since we're on the topic of Jasmy, right? It is up 15% on 7-day chart. That 24-hour chart's up almost 9%, right? And how about this, guys? Let's zoom in a little bit more. On the other page, it said we're at 102 on that rank. Now it says 103. So, I mean, in reality, we're about to break into the top 100 for Jasmy, and I just want to state this. Why is that such a big deal, you may wonder? The reason why that's such a big deal is because a lot of investors, not necessarily me, right, but people do this. They only pay attention to the top 100 for whatever reason, okay? That's not my strategy. I mean, I'll definitely recognize it, but that, for me personally, it's not my strategy. For a lot of you guys, that's not your strategy. But for some of you guys, it is your strategy. Whatever the case be, it is something you got to recognize. A lot of investors are going to do that. But what's the significant thing about it, right? It's definitely going to be a great positive thing for us Jasmy holders, because that opens up a whole other different group or wave of investors that will simply look more into Jasmy because it's a top 100 crypto. It is a thing. But anyway, a little bit more in regards to what you see here real quick, because we're not going to have the longest show tonight. We do see that it's up 81.57% in volume. You do have that confirmed market cap of 366 million. So some cool things going on with Jasmy, to say the least. Circulating supply, 95% is already out there. 50 billion on the max, 50 billion on the total. So yeah, very, very interesting and really cool to see this. All right, let me jump back into the comments. And I want to welcome Mr. Brian Dowie. Says, sup, Max? Sup, Mr. Brian Dowie. Good to see you here. And glad to have you in the comments on, I think it was the XLM video. That was cool stuff. Appreciate that, man. All right. Going to go further into some of the comments, see if there's any more to welcome. Mr. Cool Cat Crypto, welcome. Cool Cat. And Selmo Fudd up in the house. He's got all the frogs going on. I saw some of the things you posted, I think, earlier today in regards to, the frog outshining the, what was it? The Volt lost his thunder because of the frog, something like that. But anyway, good to see you, Mr. Selmo Fudd. Just gonna see if we have any other people. We do. Cars and Cryptos. Max, what's good, fam? What's good is you're here, and a lot of other people. Thank you again for being in here tonight. Kind of a weird day. Maybe we'll have more of an uptick. There might be some other shows going on. It's okay. It's one of those things. All right, Stardog, welcome. Glad to see you here, Mr. Stardog. Always puts a smile on my face to see Stardog here, right? Especially towards the weekend. We understand that because he's our friend, mate from across the pond. Shout out to you, Stardog. Glad to have you here, man. All right. Cars of Crypto says Monday and payday are good days. The best day is the day you get up and handle ish, even if you are feeling crappy. Not exactly what he said, but you know what I mean. Calvin says, sup, Brian, go Suns. Thank you, Calvin. I know that you're, for instance, a Suns fan, so I know you're not just saying that. So, yeah, rock on to you too, man. All right. Aquaman says, if you suppose Suns, Max, we support Suns. Well, thanks, man. Thank you very much. Yeah, it's going to be an uphill battle. I mean, that team, they're, like Kevin Durant mentioned, they're number one for a reason. It's like people are all shocked, like, oh, Suns did this bad. Hey, that's a solid team. Jamal Murray also, he's there to ball it up, no doubt about it. I'll give credit where credit's due. Michael Porter Jr. also, right? I mean, they have a lot of weapons on that team, and the Suns gave up a lot. Basically, we have a huge gouge in our bench to acquire Kevin Durant and so on. You better believe I miss some of those players from our old bench. One of my favorite players, that used to be on the Suns, right, is Mikal Bridges. I love his new nickname in Brooklyn, Brooklyn Bridges, but that was my dude right there. I mean, I was very sad to see him go, but I get it. It's you can't. If you're gonna acquire Kevin Durant, you gotta be willing to give up some pieces. All right. Gumte says hi all, welcome back. Glad to have you here. And XXI Gaming, obviously, always glad to have you back, man. What's good, everybody? Shout out to XXI Gaming, and especially what he's holding with Stratos. I'm gonna take a moment to see what's going on with your Stratos. Have a good entry point yet? Not for me yet. Not my entry point yet, but it's a good, solid project. We'll leave that up here for a second. With Stratos, look more into it if you choose to do so. This is one that's been on my list for a while, but I gotta, I'm still waiting it out to see what kind of entry point can get. But for me, it's in the 40s, preferably, of course, 43 cents. But this thing, you can blast off at any particular moment. I think it's a good short-term, long-term play. And we've done a few, I guess you could say, minor deep dives in regards to Stratos. Was very, very impressed with it. But we'll leave this up. Shout out to you, Mr. XXI Gaming. All right. I want to welcome back Mr. John Geese, Jasmine. Yep. Thank you for being here. Funny comment from Cool Cat. Mapepe wooden shoes and underwear. You want to know something? I actually have some wooden shoes. A buddy of mine, gamer friend, he came all the way from Holland back in 2006. And I used to joke around about, people were Dutch who had wooden shoes. So he actually bought like some authentic wooden shoes, and I still have them in the house, just as like a souvenir. But anyway. All right. I'm just going to recognize a few more people. Michael Montclair, thanks for being here. And Salamander, of course, thank you so much for being here. Started early, Max. Hello. Awesome. And let's see here. It's good to thank KuCoin listed Pepe since I'm a KuCoin maxi. That's a good way of looking at it. Stevie, welcome. Glad to have you here. Pepe bigger than Quant. That's one way of looking at it. Salamander with a $2 super chat at 6:16, only 3 minutes ago. Thank you so much. He says, build and they will come. XRP, Jasmine, Quant, XLM, XDC, LCX. Yeah, 2 brand new videos. One listed last night, about roughly, an hour or so after the show, for XLM. And on top of that, Jasmine today. The one for XLM, I had to dig pretty deep in regards to that. XLM is your thing, Stellar Lumens XLM, which is definitely my thing. You might want to look into that particular deep dive. It's pretty big. Australia, CBDC, we understand that, they've been building back in the, the bear market and so on. Remember this, the Stellar Connection, AUDD. Very interesting video, and check it out. River, thank you for being here. I did great. KuCoin is great. And let's see here. Crypto Homes 777, thank you for being here as well. All right. I'm going to go ahead and just kind of kick it into our outline here right now. So let's go ahead and do that. All right. So let me go ahead and pull this up. And on this particular one, I think I'm going to remove just a couple banners just so it doesn't conflict with anything. I'll just probably move that one. All right, so we're going to jump into this. As the thumbnail, you saw the thumbnail. You probably wonder, what the heck is up with that? I heard in the past this talk about, 100,000 Bitcoin. I heard that one, what was it, 90 days for $1 million. I'm not on board with some of these things. My thing is there has to be something solid. Shout out to Michael Cornwell. He's probably real busy tonight, but if he's here, he's mentioned numerous times, numbers don't have emotions. At the end of the day, I look at actual data, other metrics, to be that guy, whether it's a popular thing to say or not, this bull run thesis. And I've been basically stating it since, I don't know, late January. I did, Dies even last year saying, hey, these 4-year cycles, should we pay attention to it? Shout out to even Edward Vincent. He was a guest on the show at one particular point when we were doing the 4-year cycle thing and paying attention to that. So let's jump into this, and basically to start things off, there's this whole idea of, Bitcoin to 180,000. Yeah, it's a new thing. It says, for instance, after several consecutive weeks of significant gains, cryptos, finally took a breather the last few weeks. It's been a kind of a weird situation, right? So we're going to jump into this, and we have, charts. We have a few key things. You got to see what's going on with the economy, all that stuff, right? So I'm going to start off with this. And on this one particular one, I'm trying to, zoom in a little bit more for you guys. So like you see right here, after several consecutive weeks of significant gains, cryptos finally took a breather or so, last week and whatnot. A good example basically is it is like what you see. Bitcoin dropped 7% or so the past week. We saw it fluctuate. We even saw it, for instance, go to, I think we hit close to 31 or right at 31 just briefly. 31K. Ethereum, shed 90%. Solana, if that's your thing. Polygon, we saw Polygon drop back into under $1. Was in the 90-cent range. Even XRP, right? We saw some fluctuation with that. Polkadot, their layer 0, all of them basically dropped more than 10%. And some people were kind of going back to the whole thing like, this whole thing is a fake out. I knew it, Bitcoin to 12K, you start hearing people talk about that kind of stuff again, right? And rightfully so. There's nothing wrong with, difference of opinions and so on. But at the end of the day, there's one narrative and then there's actual data to support the bull run thesis. What is that all about, right? So with that said, if you're just tuning in, smash that like if you haven't done so already. We're going to talk about this bull run thesis. This is basically like part 7 in regards to just that, or maybe part 8. I don't know. I have to double check on that. So it says, we view the drop. You got to keep in mind, this is from a premium service I have. They pay annually for, which is Investor Place. I'm telling you flat out, these guys have been like 90% spot on with all of this. My Filecoin, for instance, you guys know 3K in 3 days. They've had some other great choices that I've shared with the community as well. The graph, right? I bought bottom at 6 cents. Audio, right? I have no complaints basically. So it says, we view the drop as a buying opportunity and think current levels offer a particularly attractive short-term entry point. Now you got to keep in mind what's going on with the market as we speak. You do see a lot of things going on with these short-term entry points, and people, even at these particular price levels for BTC and so on, are snatching some of this up, even ETH, right? Even though it's not technically bottom anymore, right? So it says cryptos are in the midst of their 4th boom cycle. We've been talking about this. If you're not a new, if you're a newcomer, you haven't been around for this, but we have been talking about this. The bull run thesis, or 4th boom cycle, I should say, not the bull run thesis, dating back to roughly November-ish. So it's been a thing with us for a while. But it says, cryptos, like I mentioned, are in the midst of the 4th boom cycle and are following the same trading pattern they followed, listen to this, guys, during the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd boom cycles, wherein Bitcoin bottomed 12 to 6 months before halving event after losing 80% of its value in a bear market crash. Perfect example, what happened in the 2022 crypto bear market / crypto winter, whatever you want to call it, right? Some people call it crypto apocalypse. I don't know if it was quite that much, but it's definitely a crypto blizzard, to say the least, right? So, there was retakes in which, you had about half of those losses into the halving, event. It says, and then it goes on to make new highs in the 12 to 16 months after the halving event. What's an example of, something to look at as far as like an actual chart? Well, here you go. You can see some of what happened back in, like 2022, like it says, the crash 24 months before halving. Oh, that's the rebound 12 months before halving, and then the melt up 12 months after a halving. Now you got to keep in mind, a lot of people are focusing on this whole talk of the halving. I mean, there's a lot of focus, obviously, right now with PayPay, and rightfully so. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, I'm shout to all you guys that took advantage of that. I personally didn't take advantage of that. That's just me. But some of you guys mentioned that you're not holding on to it long term, and you're doing a form of a power, not necessarily a power swap, but like a swap for opportunity. I call it power swaps, depending on your position. But for me personally, this whole concept of holding on to a particular meme token, diamond handing it long term. You hear a particular influencer say, I haven't sold a single token. We've learned from that, right? Basically in the past, especially if you've been in this crypto game for, I would say, at least 2 years or more, right? You probably have learned some things as part of this crypto journey, right? So there's what's going on with that. I want to show you guys this. It says improving financial market sentiment driven by falling inflation, falling treasury yields, a dovish evolution in Fed policy, and restabilizing economic activity will provide strong macroeconomic ammunition for this rally, basically late 2023, 2024. And for a lot of people, they feel as though, boom, all-time high should be 2025. We're going to see, right? Absolutely. It says, meanwhile, the recent banking crisis will provide further ammunition for this rally by elevating Bitcoin's position as a respectable store of value. There's a difference, of course, like we mentioned on the show, when it comes to a store of value and when it comes to something that's going to be used for cross-border payments. Obviously, BTC will not be used for that lightning fast, cross-border payments, right? Could it be, for instance, as Cool Cat has mentioned, and I'm into it as well, BSV, right? Through the Bitcoin Association, could very well be, right? And we've been taking more of our deeper dives into that. It's been very impressive. But that would be used for like something impressive, like high transactions and, cross-border payments and things like that, Ripple's XRP, XLM, you name it, right? Obviously, we talk about quant, how they're tied into all that particular stuff. But at the end of the day, none of the central banks are talking about BTC for cross-border payments. So with that said, it says, for instance, again, I'll reiterate this, this provides further ammunition for the rally by elevating Bitcoin's position as a respectable store of value. For more clarity on regulation, the European Union just passed the world's first comprehensive package of rules aimed at regulation in the crypto industry. And we cover this, right? And we feel, especially like with MICA, right? MICA. And that is a big step forward for, in my opinion, getting things rolling here for blast off, right? What do I mean by blast off? Well, I'm going to show you this other particular, thing right here. And I've talked about this numerous times, the 4 phases of the crypto market. I believe that what we saw from the last crypto winter was the part of that markdown. This phase that we're in is accumulation. I do not want to accumulate all of this, the goals I have for crypto during a markup. Markup is part of, obviously, blast off. Now, you got to keep in mind, going into markup, could it be later on in 2023/2024? Very well could be. Could all-time highs be part of that markup in 2025? Yeah, could very well be. But I also don't want to time this the wrong way during distribution. You got to keep in mind, after we get that clarity, yeah, there could be a distribution point and so on. But at the same time, what ones are focused in regards to like a utility run? And with the utility run, understand this, that these things that are presented here are based on the current market cycles and so on. So there's a lot of different factors to take into place when it comes to this whole talk of all of this, right? Current market conditions, and where we're going here in the future here soon, right? And I'm going to jump back to what we have in regards to this outline. So, it states that, the EU, of course, passed that the world's first comprehensive package of rules and so on. We just talked about that. Should also support higher confidence, by extension, higher prices in the crypto market. And even today, I mean, we'll jump to this part real quick. You did see what's going on with this. Some people feel as though, well, it looks nice today, Max. It could fluctuate tomorrow or the weekend or by the time we hit Monday. Absolutely. But what's one thing that we know that recently happened, right? It's this. And that is, the Fed raising basis points to 25 basis points. Like it says right here, the U.S. Central Bank lifted its benchmark overnight interest rate to the 5.25% range, its 10th consecutive increase since March 2022, and dropped language in its policy statement saying the Federal Open Market Committee still, quote, anticipates that some additional policy firming may be appropriate in order to attain a stance of monetary policy that is sufficient restrictive to return inflation to 2% over time, replacing it with a more qualified statement. Now, when we jump back to this, I want you guys to see this. And, at the end of the day, like it says, that picture or big picture, big picture bull thesis remains alive and well. And that's why I wanted to get with you guys tonight in regards to this and share some of this particular information. Because the way I look at it is alive and well. I've sometimes at the end of the day, it's not about being always right, but it's about being right during the right times. And I'm not trying to, of course, toot my own horn here, but I also understand that sometimes it's not a popular thing to do, to come on camera and say, hey, you know what, guys, I think we're in the very, very start, the infancy or the inception of a bull run, when the rest of the narrative based off of popular opinion is that we're not, right? And, this has been a thing that we've been doing for a while. So it says, therefore, the current dip in cryptos is a buying opportunity. And of course, we saw it fluctuate. There's still ones where you still have those entry points. Here's a perfect example of what I'm talking about when it comes to just that. And if anything, I'll pull up my watch list. So here is my particular watch list. And, you got to pay attention to what's going on, obviously, on the 7-day chart, 24-hour chart. I do that on everything, right? So on this, I look at things like, what ones do we have pullbacks on? Leo X, that was a big pullback. Why was that such a big pullback? Understand that this was over 60 cents, I think, at one particular point. I know there's some bad ones on this list, but I also look at, for instance, one that we recently covered, DMTR. That one's an opportunity. How's an opportunity? It's original. The tokenization of what? Agriculture, farming, and so on. There's something to be said about that. There's some other ones. VAIOT. I believe it was, Mass Debater. He was talking about this particular one, and that seemed like a pretty impressive one to get into. Now, none of this is financial advice, obviously, but I'm always looking at the ones in which just because you see certain miniature pumps and so on, we have to pay attention to what the heck is going on with this. Obviously, BTC Pay is the one I got my eyes on, right, for another power swap. But whether it's me, whether it's the next guy, there are ones in which will be the opportunities to take advantage on what is referred to as the dip. Relio, here's another example. This was up, I think, over 40 cents at one particular point, right? We've been covering it since 8 cents. Shout out to Mike Cornwell, who got into this at 8 cents, right? So my thing is this. That is an opportunity for a dip, right? I'm not saying for you to get into any of this. I'm just a messenger, a guy who provides news, updates, and research. How about this? Cypherium. I made it clear to you guys that I feel as though if this crashes below, like a penny or below, I will buy one more bag. It may seem like a crazy thing to do. Why would I do that? I'm looking at it from the perspective of if it did very well crash, especially before like June, July-ish, when FedNow comes out. What is it? July? I can't remember. But that's soon. That's one in which, we could be wrong about. I'm just saying. I'm not endorsing it for sure. There's lots of opportunity. I still think helium is a great opportunity. Are you kidding? Bone, Shiba swap. Maybe Max finally just buys an official bag instead of going off my rewards from the liquidity pool I provided a while back, right? But whatever the case be, these are particular examples in regards to a reaction to take advantage of the dips in regards to like what you see with this bull run thesis. Now, let's get into a little bit more in regards to this. It says, Timing when buying dips is important, and we think the timing looks pretty good to start dip buying efforts at current levels. That's why I gave you that particular example that you saw on the watch list. It says technically, Bitcoin has formed a solid uptrend channel ever since its big breakout in January. I was talking about some of this stuff back in January when it was a very unpopular thing to do so. The top side of this channel is very clearly defined. The bottom side of this channel, though, it is not well defined. We believe there are 3 bottom side channels to monitor, providing 3 different lines of technical defense for BTC in pullbacks. Now, you may be wondering, like, what the heck is that? And what is that all about? And should I pay attention to some of these things? You better believe we should all pay attention to these things. At the end of the day, I want to state this to each and every one of you who are tuned in right now. We should pay attention to some of this stuff. So again, if you are basing, I'm not saying you guys here who are watching, but there are people who do this. You base things off of a narrative because of what sounds popular based off of people in, other channels, or what you heard on a recorded video or a live show and so on. There's narratives and then there's numbers, right? So, it says the top side of this channel is very clearly defined. The bottom side of this channel, though, like I already mentioned this, says we believe there is 3 bottom side channels to monitor, providing 3 different lines of technical defense for the BTC and pullbacks. We already broke the first line of defense. How so? We're going to show you that here in a second. We are now between the first and second lines of defense. The third line of defense is significantly lower. Given current fundamental conditions, we think it is somewhat likely that Bitcoin bottoms in between its first and second lines of defense. We do not believe it will break the second line of defense and test the third line of defense. So what is this all about? Well, like it says, we are currently in between those first and second lines of defense, and consequently, we think BTC, as in Bitcoin, is in a short-term buy zone. Here's a representation of that, and where we're basically at from late January to where we're at currently speaking now. Okay, and people have taken advantage of this and so on. I'll just leave that up there for a second. So, how do we know that people have taken advantage of some of these things? And that's a great question. And what I would basically do is show you some of this right now. Here's an example of that. So currently speaking at Bitcoin, there's a lot of volume that's up, 16.81% up. How much in volume exactly? Well, about $18.5 billion on the 24-hour chart in itself. I mean, this in itself, don't be surprised if you did see it go back up to over 30K again. But as far as all this, what about, Max, you said the whole thing of, Bitcoin 180K, right? I could be wrong, but I am basing on a lot of the particular data. I want to show you a little bit more in regards to this. So before I do so, I want to jump back to this real quick. And it says, looking farther ahead, the question becomes, how high can cryptos rally in this boom cycle? At the end of the day, that's probably why you are connected watching this particular program. While I understand there's some degen talk, and rightfully so, that's okay. You guys are having a good, fun time. Understand this. Like it says, we saw one analysis this week, which provides a pretty strong argument for why Bitcoin can rally. Yeah, you saw it right. To $180,000 in this cycle. Now, you got to keep in mind, in the last particular cycle, where you had a lot of FOMO money coming in, Bitcoin on 11/11/2021 hit 69K. Also hit roughly, 4,500-ish, maybe possibly more. I don't have that number memorized. But for Ethereum, why is that so important to know those particular things? Because even now, to this day, until we get to the true utility run, Bitcoin and Ethereum represent roughly 80 to 81% of the overall crypto market. Now, we cover things like Jasmine, and we understand what's significant about that is that on the 90-day chart, the 60-day chart, the 30-day chart, the 14-day chart, 7-day chart, even 24-hour chart, and even 1-hour chart shows that Jasmine does move, for instance, in correlation to both Bitcoin and Ethereum. Now, people have some, theories in regards to that because, for instance, how the contracts is set up, and we understand that there is a Binance Smart Chain bridge, but that is something to pay attention to. If we get $100,000 Bitcoin, I'm not even going to say 180,000 Bitcoin, you better believe that with these particular prices, for instance, with Jasmine, that is going to be huge, right? So I'm not saying for anybody to go out and buy Bitcoin. I think obviously there's other opportunities when it comes to having a better return on your investment. But if you are in the position where you're, let's say, you're a multimillionaire and you already made it, well, obviously, if you bought during the time of FTX when that happened, and when Bitcoin, BTC that is, dropped to 15,800, 900 in that particular range, but the 15s, that was the true bottom. So the analysis rests on the idea of incorporating Bitcoin into the traditional 60-40 stock bond portfolio. How so? Well, like it mentions, the traditional gold standard for investment portfolios, it is supposed to perfectly balance the risk and reward and give investors an all-weather portfolio to outperform in the long term. How so? Well, like it shows, the 60-40 portfolio was crushed and both bonds and stocks lost significant value. This has led many to think that adjustments need to be made to the 60-40 portfolio. One popularly proposed adjustment is throwing Bitcoin into the mix because BTC is relatively volatile, or its volatility, has dropped over the past several years while its excess returns remain remarkable. So again, there's one thing of what you heard in the past, and then there's what there really is. It says, we see a chance for the traditional 60-40 portfolio to turn into a 60-39-1 portfolio with a 1% debt reallocation to Bitcoin. And here's where the juicy stuff comes in. Listen to this. There is 300 trillion in global debt holdings. We focus on this so much. Why? Well, for the same reason that we focus on researching Ripple's XRP. We understand that at some particular point, when it comes to the central banks of the world and so on, you better believe that Ripple is an answer to this whole thing of banks failing across the world and so on. If we have a monumental collapse and whatnot, well, that creates supply and demand for particular distributed ledger technologies. Ripple's XRP happens to be the answer to, for instance, Nostra Vostro, you name it, with Ripple's on-demand liquidity. If Ripple takes on the debt of all this, well, then you can draw a conclusion to, hey, you know what? Maybe that's part of the big utility run. And with that also said, Stellar is part of that mix. So this statement right here, 300 trillion global debt holdings. Listen to this. Again, the juicy stuff. If 1% of those holdings shifted into Bitcoin, which I believe it very well could, because that's lowballing it, just 1%, that would inject, listen to this, guys, $3 trillion of buying power into Bitcoin, which would push the price up to, we mentioned 180,000. How about $185,000 per coin? So this is what I'm talking about. There's one thing about one narrative of, oh, I heard this, these guys, they said that, there's a bet in 90 days, Bitcoin could go to $1 million. Okay. Is there any data to back that up? Here's some actual data based on even lowballing at 1% that backs that up. And what do we also back it up with? We back it up with some actual charts to show you what the heck has happened in the past, to give you an idea of where we're at in the now and where we're going here in the future. Based on different debt reallocation scenarios, listen to this, guys. Are we not paying attention to this? Listen to this. This is the good stuff. Based on different debt reallocation scenarios of 1% to 2.5% with U.S. debt, sovereign debt, and global debt, the potential price impact to Bitcoin ranges from, listen to this, a jump to 45,000 to 420,000. Now it's getting a little ridiculous. Max is starting to lose his mind. No, but look at the chart. Look what it says right here. Bitcoin price based on debt reallocation scenarios. How do we know this? Based on debt class, total global debt, market value, 300 trillion, 1% shift to BTC, 3 trillion, BTC price, boom, 184,961. They just rounded off to 185. Potential return, 517%. Even if you're not a person, and I know that I'm not it really into the comments right now, but my thing is I will be. All right. I I love you guys, especially, your ongoing support. But when I saw some of this stuff, I said to myself, it is time to update the bull run thesis. This is massive stuff. So even if you're not a person who is on the same page of, me or other people, when it comes to, I don't understand the whole thing of a utility run and so on. The only thing I'm concerned about is what Bitcoin is doing. You know what? That's okay. Want to know why that's okay? Here's proof of why that's okay. Why? Because we have some particular assets like Jasmine and a few other ones that we have to pay attention what happens still with the current market conditions, because these current market conditions, and based off the data, that is significantly impressive. My goodness. And I will state this, right? This whole thing with PayPay, right? That still brings in a lot of, contributes over to the global market cap. It's a win for crypto in general. There's some debate of, it could be bad. I do agree it could be bad, especially if, there's a big sale, flash sale when it comes to that, right? But how about this next particular example? What is the total sovereign debt? Well, 72 trillion. What if there's a 1% shift to Bitcoin? I mean, it's not like we're saying it's a 10% shift. We're saying 1% shift to Bitcoin. And you may be thinking, I'm not on board on some of this stuff. Well, keep in mind this. When we saw stocks plunge recently, in previous years, as stocks plunged, crypto usually plunges with that. But with this whole talk of what's happened with the bank collapses and so on, we saw a little taste for the first time that, finally, crypto separated itself from that particular thesis or norm that we're going to go to hell in a handbasket with it. So again, like it says, 1% shift to BTC, that's 0.72 trillion. That's still a lot. BTC price, even at those figures, 67,099. That's 2,000 below our previous all-time highs on 11/11/2021 for Bitcoin. Potential return 124% compared to where we're currently at now. That's still not too shabby. All right, just to pound it home a little bit more. How about total U.S. government debt? It says 31 trillion. It's about 31 to 32 trillion. And we report on this many times as well. 1% shift to BTC, 0.31 trillion. BTC price, roughly about 46,000. That's still a 53% return. Again, what digital assets do you have that reflect what you see based off the chart? Jasmine happens to be a great example of that. There's other ones, obviously, too. How about the debt class? Total global debt, 300 trillion. Again, like you see, how about this? Let's increase it a little bit. We lowballed it earlier. Let's increase it a bit. 2.5% shift to BTC, 7.50 trillion. And my God, this is where you're going to see a narrative on even television. Because you know what television does? They give you two narratives, only two. They'll never tell you about the use cases of certain, cryptos that are tied into the financial system, or, their use cases, or what utility they have. Nope, never do that. Only report on two narratives. Their narrative, and that is basically this: Bitcoin has crashed. Oh, that's all going to zero. Oh, get out of it completely. Get out of crypto. It's just a big scam, right? And what's the other narrative, guys? When you see this thing pop up to 7.50 trillion or more, especially in a utility run, are you kidding? This thing's gonna be smashed out of the park, right? 10 trillion, maybe 100 trillion. I know it sounds nuts. Maybe it look like a cuckoo bird or whatever. But the key thing is this: doesn't mean it can't happen. And there's enough data to show that it could very well happen. Well, I'm new to crypto. You sound crazy, Max. Okay, that's all right. I could take the heat. But I do know this: once we get regulatory clarity and all these institutional money come in, BlackRocks of the world, you name it, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Because that is the biggest wave of representation of some of these examples that you see right now, but added into those equations as well. That doesn't even include some of that stuff. Are we not paying attention to what's going on here? I hope we are. A little bit more of what is going on with this. So 2.5% shift to BTC off a total global debt. BTC price 417,584. It's a potential return of 1,292%. How about this? Total sovereign debt. Total sovereign debt. Have you been paying attention to that? Yeah, I'm sure some of you guys have been. 72 trillion. 2.5% shift to BTC, 1.80 trillion. Not too bad. BTC price 122,928, 310% potential return. You get how some of this stuff is. I'm not going to get more into it. I want to give you this next particular example. It says, of course, these are just arbitrary numbers, right? You got to keep in mind, look at some of the sources, Bloomberg, intelligence, and so on. It says, they believe that current dynamics imply that we will get some debt reallocation to cryptos in the coming quarters. The size of the reallocation is unknown, but any reallocation at all will provide upside firepower for what? The boom cycle. Why do I put so much emphasis sometimes when it comes to these boom cycles? Because at the end of the day, I was just like the next guy. I came from, a time of early 2021 where I killed it in crypto. I was like, oh my God, $300 into Dogecoin, and then it became 22K. And I was like, oh my God, I'm not going to listen to everybody out there about saying that. I heard people saying that, don't sell your Dogecoin. It's going to go to $10. I was like, to hell with that narrative. I'm going to take some freaking profits. At the end of the day, last I saw, even in stocks, you need to do something like that, right? Thank God I listened to my gut when it came to that. Then I said to myself, well, I did well with, Dogecoin. Came into it early at 1 penny. What else can I buy for a penny? Well, enter in, for instance, Shiba Inu. And then I could find out that I could buy not even just for a penny, but I could buy way low below a penny. Decide to load up the freaking truck on that. Bought in at 50799, and bought over $1 billion of those. I think it was like 1,100 million or something like that, right? But the point was that did an 11x for me. And yeah, you better believe I took my profits on that one too. Chronos, $1,700 in, came out a little over 10,000 on that. As you guys know, the story, 10K became 120K. Now you guys are doing pretty well with some of the stuff on PayPay and so on, and that's awesome. Shout out to you in regards to that. All I'm saying is this: please do not diamond hand the thing. I mean, I'm not saying have paper hands. Don't have paper hands, obviously, but do not diamond hand the heck out of anything for the most part, unless it's something you feel as though it's like, I mentioned quant, XRP, and stuff like that. There are some exceptions to the rule. All right. So it says, for instance, overall, despite the bumpy week for cryptos the last week or so, I mean, it's kind of been up and down. We remain bullish and view this week's sell-off as a great buying opportunity. I mean, you got to believe it. You better believe it. It is a great buying opportunity. So, I wanted to share that with you guys. I thought it was massive. And, we do these things here. Sometimes we share this type of information with the community because, let's face it, you got to pay attention to what the heck is going on. I think there's some real significant things on the horizon for all of this. Am I buying a full Bitcoin? No. I really put that into some of these altcoins that have solid utility. So smash that like if you haven't done so already. Thank you so much for joining us here on this particular Friday night. We will finally kick it back into the comments, and I'm sure I'm well behind, but I had to keep up with some of that particular flow, and glad to do so. All right, so what I want to do is I want to kick it back in, and I did see some super chats came in. I really do appreciate that. Let me see how many came in on the other particular screen, and thank you again. I really, really appreciate the support you guys give for us here at CTN. I think it's pretty awesome. So I saw a couple come in, one or two from Henry Brown. Let me just go ahead and highlight some of this stuff. And let's see where we're at. Dave, I saw you just came in at some point. Thank you for being here. I'm just kind of recognizing a few more people. All right. Let's see where it was at. Gotta go way, way up. All right. I think we also have one from Elon Muff. Thank you, Mr. Muff, for the 99-cent super chat. Say hello to Edward Vincent. I think it's awesome that you guys are able to meet. And I mean, hopefully that happened. Hopefully there was no hangups. All right. So I'm not doing this in any particular order. So I'm just kind of doing it as I'm scrolling up. Salamander, $2 super chat. Build and they will come. XRP, Jasmine, Quant, XLM, XDC, LCX. Thanks so much, Mr. Boomer F and Sooner, as well. I saw you in the chat. Some of the comments you said. But I said, excuse me, I'm sorry. I said Boomer F and Sooner. Salamander, sorry. I was reading a comment at the same time. Salamander, thank you so much to a $2 super chat. Boomer's like, what? I didn't do nothing. All right, I'm gonna go further up, and I gotta recognize, obviously the super chats, because at the end of the day, it's like, why drop super chats if you're not gonna have them recognized, right? I would totally agree. Okay, so we did get into that one. Let me go further down. So yeah, thank you again, Mr. Salamander, not Boomer F and Sooner, but thank you to you as well, Boomer F and Sooner. You have the best name. All right. See where we're at. Also, obviously, Elon Musk. Thank you again. Mike Cornwell. Hopefully hopefully you could take a little break, man. You're always working really hard. I have been too. I've been doing a little bit too much myself, and it can be very draining. But sometimes you gotta do what you gotta do. You gotta put the pedal to the metal, as the saying goes, for we can accumulate some of this stuff, right? All right. I did see this real quick. So utility coins are the future, not meme coins named Pepe. I mean, it's one way to look at it. I mean, I'm not saying that there's not opportunity there. I just my thing is this, I've learned from, back in the days of 2021, I still hold a bunch of meme coins, and I hate to say it, like most of those are just a bunch of BS. Now, I mean, the thing with Pepe, I mean, it's I will get credit where credit's due. I mean, that thing is literally in the top 50. And it's for people who did get in early. I mean, removing 1 0 is one thing. Removing 2 zeros, you better believe people did make a ton of money. My thing is, though, still, I hope people are taking profits on it. And one thing that does worry me is that ratio where you didn't see a lot of people who were holding and taking the profits. Now, why is that? Is it because they're brand new investors? And they're listening to, I hate to say it, top influencers who go on camera and say, I never sold one coin, one token. So literally they're going through their head, well, if that guy didn't sell, that's good enough for me. I'm going to diamond hand this. I'm going to hodl this. And as a result, they get wrecked. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying that you guys are doing that. You guys have mentioned that you are, swapping or whatever the case be. I don't want to see anybody get wrecked on anything. Even people who may not even watch us, that's my thing. If you're a hard-working person, that's your money, for crying out loud. You work hard for that money. All right. Michael Montclair, I agree about reinvesting my profits back into utility. Yeah, I literally like come on all of a sudden. All right, so I'm going to try to get back into this. I'm trying to scroll down. There's a lot of good comments. I really thank you guys for that. Because, it definitely helps the algorithm, all those particular things. We'll read this real quick. Is it pronounced Vault or Vault? I can't remember. Excellent project. Have a bag of that myself. That's cool. That's very, very cool. Triple C, who banned you, man? That sucks. We're not going to ever ban you, man. Maybe sometimes we don't see eye to eye on some stuff, but, hey, man, you're a cool cat, just like your name. You're a cool brother. And we're not going to ban you. Dave D, like I said, welcome. Glad to have you back. Marvin Davis, good to see you. I am still scrolling down to these super chats. You guys got a lot of comments. Really do appreciate that. It does definitely help with the algorithm. I'll never forget this one guy. What's his name? Q Opal or whatever his name is. He's like, comments have nothing to do with the algorithm and so on. Yeah, it does. And then I did a simple basic Google search, and there's like 10 sources that came up, and I like literally said, just do a Google search, man. It was crickets ever since, but whatever. This is a guy who doesn't like the idea that I wear a baseball hat. I mean, obviously I'm wearing a basketball hat today. He didn't like the idea that I use incorrect grammar. Apparently, listen to this. I always say, all right, guys, look at where we're at right now. He was saying in the comments, it's where we are. It's where we are using incorrect. Okay, excuse me. Last I checked, I went to get my MBA in business, entrepreneurship. I wasn't trying to get my master's in English, for crying out loud. If I was going to get my master's in a different particular degree, it would probably be like, history or something like that. Nothing against English teachers. Shout out to you. If there's any English teachers, just, don't get me wrong. I have subbed for English, and, I don't mind doing it. I could still teach people APA format and all that stuff for college, but I don't know. It's like, it's kind of like people who criticize Charles Barkley. You know how he says, for instance, what I say. That's he says that a lot. Instead of saying, hey, this is what I said. He's always like, and like I say, it's like, am I going to get mad at Charles Barkley for saying, something that he grew up with in Alabama? No. Why? Because he makes up for it with his basketball knowledge, for crying out loud. People are just, the way they look at things, it's just unbelievable. It's like, and then this guy was like nitpicking me, and I pointed out, I'm like, really? You're going to nitpick me? All right, let's see if you have a YouTube channel. This guy had a YouTube channel, and it's like, he would do like a stream from where he would do it from his bedroom, and there's nothing wrong with that. And he has he doesn't even have a green screen, none of that stuff. I mean, I didn't at one point too, as you guys know, but I'm not gonna have a bunch of junk behind me. So this guy is gonna criticize my baseball hat. He's gonna criticize me not using proper grammar, right? And this guy has a bunch of junk stacked behind him with low lighting. It's kind of like the saying goes, it's like, how can you criticize somebody if you don't have your own house in order? I just thought it was ridiculous. But anyway, enough about that guy. He got too much attention tonight. I'm still going through the comments trying to get to this. You got some good stuff going on tonight. All right, Henry Brown, thank you so much, brother, for the $5 super chat. Really appreciate you. It was at 6:49 p.m. Not that far behind, right? Like, I was basically about 14 minutes behind. That's not too bad. He says, shout out to everyone with these collapses. Prepare crypto, precious metals, food, and protection gear. LOL, what debt? Just print more money. Joking. Yeah, freaking oh man, Jerome Powell. I mean, there's that meme that's going around. Maybe we share it, if I have a little bit of time. I don't know, I got a little buffer here, but I think some of you guys saw the particular meme where the guy, kind of dubs his voice, and he's just like, Parmex, right? He's like, F you all. I'm just gonna turn on my money printer, and there's like some kind of weird like rap music in the background, when he's just cranking that thing and just spitting out the money. I thought it was funny. For some reason, the person that showed it didn't have it where you could share it, so I had to find out another source. But Dave D says age has a lot to do with crypto investing. Some people don't have 25 to 30 years to wait. That's right. Right. Yeah, they don't have 25 to 30 years to wait. It's just like, or how about this? Maybe they do. They're like looking at it from perspective, like, you know what? I want to live now, and maybe they're not willing to be that patient. But my thing is this: if you guys, no matter who you are, were willing to be patient enough for 401k, and like, depending on when you got it, right? Like if you were sold out to a particular company, like right out of college when you're 22, or I don't know. It doesn't even have to be college related, right? You're just like, man, I want to be with this company until I retire. You're like 18 or 20 or something like that. You bought into a 45-year-long or 47-year-long 401k plan. You're willing to wait for that, but you can't wait to 2025 when we get blast off. To me, that doesn't make any sense. And I've said that numerous times. All right. I think there's another super chat. Henry Brown. Nano Ledger, of which wallet to store Jasmine. So Nano and S. There you go. Ledger works great for it. Yes. All right. Henry Brown, cool Ledger it is. Yes. I mean, people do decent wallet, but I have never personally used it. I know some people like that, but I think for the most part, I mean, Ledger is where it's at. JF would be interesting to see different cryptos become number one. I see that moment like the Olympics. You're absolutely right, JF. And welcome, by the way. We hope to see more of you. Guys, let's give a warm welcome to a newcomer. I haven't seen you before. Maybe you have been here before and it just, for whatever reason, didn't see you. I'm glad you have a custom avatar. But yeah, guys, give them a warm welcome. We have a very welcoming community here. Any questions or comments like you just did, feel free to keep dropping it, man. And we hope to see more of you. It's a great statement because the way I look at it is, I don't know if it was Mentellect or somebody else from the past, but a few years ago, there was this thing that happened, right? It was XRP, technically speaking, was number one. For the longest time, I used to think that was just BTC number one the whole time. And apparently, at one particular point, XRP did by ranking, like on CMC and so on, used to be number one at one particular point. So my thing is this: it's happened before. It happened briefly. You better believe, especially in a utility run, it can happen. You'll have some of these ones dethrone it, and so on. So, great statement. Thank you for being here tonight. All right, dude. As soon as Musk mentions Pepe, he will. You never know, man. You never know. I don't know. Maybe I missed the boat on that. I don't know. But I'm not gonna beat myself up over it. For a lot of these things, for me, are like long-term holds. But don't get me wrong. I mean, maybe I change my position. Maybe I'll change my mind. Like, you know what? Maybe I'll just throw $100 at it. I don't know. We'll see. I definitely want to see what's going to happen going into the next week, though. If I see like a massive sell-off and maybe it gains a zero back, maybe I might make a position. I want to see what happens. Burke, welcome here, Mr. GF Burke, and everybody else. I don't want you guys thinking I was trying to skip comments and so on. I'm trying to. Tonight's show is kind of condensed. I just mainly wanted to give you guys some of that juicy stuff in regards to Bitcoin, the 180K thesis, if you will. As you guys saw, there's other particular examples where go a lot higher. But yeah, that was the main thing. Why, if you're just tuning in, why is it going to be a little bit more shortened of a show? It is because it is game 3, Phoenix Suns versus Denver Nuggets here in Phoenix. Go Suns. Hopefully they can pull off a win. God, they got to pull off a win. If they don't, then I will start turning my hat, inside out and so on. Just like in baseball, I'll bust out my rally hat, if you will. All right. So GF Burke states, XDC and HBAR are not directly supported on Ledger. Right. However, especially when it comes to XDC, you can manually make a folder to make it work, but you are technically correct. Do you need to do anything on Ledger if you have Gala on? I don't know. I don't have Gala. I know you have a conversation with Burke, so that's good. GF says Pepe is not even a month old. That means any project can reach over 1 billion market cap. It shows. You know what? That's a great way of looking at things too. Again, you got some great comments. So I mean, guys, that is one way to look at it. It's just like if you can have a project out of nowhere like that, just go boom. What about some of these other ones that could be part of the mix as well? Do we see some other things starting to pop off? Which ones? And if so, what does that mean for the overall crypto market going forward here within the next few months? Understand this: while we're putting so much emphasis on all this, there is some things to look at. We were talking about the 4-year cycle and whatnot. Here's a perfect example. So back in 2021, I always go back to that because, let's face it, for a lot of us, that was some key entry points. So May of 2021, like for instance, we're talking about memes. So Shiba Inu, that was his first original all-time highs was May 2021. Maybe April/May 2021. Even Dogecoin, right? Some big things started happening with that, right? It was like that was the start of meme season as far as all-time highs. Then of course with SHIB, that 6 months run up to I believe October, right? For me that was an 11x. Some people became millionaires and stuff when it comes to Doge, SHIB. I hate to even say it, Saitama, especially if they cashed out before the Vegas event, right? So, yeah, could we see other big things happen? You better believe it. And May is usually speaking, based off of from a couple years ago, you're going to have particular projects, whatever that one is, right? Whether it is Ethereum based and so on, those can pop off as well. But my thing is, there's a lot of things that are going to be happening, right? The unbanning of foreign stable coins, especially for Japan. I always mention Jasmine and so on. There's so many things. Like it's not just Jasmine, for instance, but going on into later this year, a lot of things happening with AI that we know about. So there's exciting times ahead, at least in my opinion. Bert says, don't have to do anything. Gala. Okay, my bad. I should just look at the comment first before clicking on it. Miguel, welcome. Glad to have you here, man. Good to see you, Mr. Miguel. Me, myself, and I De La Soul in the house, right? Gotta say that. I love me some De La Soul, especially the song featuring Redman. Ooh, ooh, ooh. You guys remember that song? If you up, getting you up, say ooh, ooh, ooh. That's a hilarious song. Anyway, me, myself, and I, Max. Yes, me, myself, and I. Good to have you here, man. All right. You're super bullish on Jasmine. I can't stop talking about Jasmine. I mean, I love still talking about quant a lot. I mean, these are probably the two biggest ones for a channel. We got to keep up with it and so on. I have some extra info. Shout out to Quant Papa. I'm going to probably save it for utility talk now, especially if Sean does come back on Wednesday. If he doesn't, then I'll still do it. But man, I got some juicy stuff in regards to the research from Quant Papa. And I'm going to put out another thread, and we have a whole outline. I mean, some real massive stuff. But it's going to be like, it's kind of like, it feels like homework to a sense. It's like, oh my God, Quant Papa. I mean, this guy's got like access to stuff you have no idea. And he's a talent in itself. But yeah, I'm super bullish on Jasmine. Can't stop talking about it. Hopefully you saw today's video in regards to, what's it called? Society 5.0, right? We gave you some examples literally from the Japanese government. But at the end of the day, it's all about those Internet of Things, right? And Jasmine is like really big up into that. And we even have some Sony PlayStation examples. And I want to state this, I said in a recorded video, I want to state it again. I feel like at some point in the future, hopefully it will be with the PlayStation 6, you may very well see, for instance, a Sony PlayStation 6 powered by Jasmine, like it says, Jasmine blockchain, right? Why would that be, right? Like having a personal data locker in the PS6. I mean, that would be massive, right? So my thing is, do I want to wait for something like that to happen? No, I don't want to wait, at that particular point and get into Jasmine when that happens. I'm glad that I'm into Jasmine right now. And I know some people say that's a stretch, but you got to keep in mind, they have really good connections or relationships with Sony still. And we outline that in today's particular recorded video. If you haven't seen it, check out the deep dive on that. I got some good video clips. I research, shout out to Brian at WC306 or 308, I believe he is on Twitter. Provide all that information. So yeah, me too, man. Super bullish on that. All right, let's go further down. Calvin says, props to PayPay. Kind of reminds me of Mana. Cool stuff, man. All right. GS, if I didn't welcome you earlier, welcome. Marvin Davis says, Max, thanks for clarifying that people should diamond utility coins and take profit on memes. I mean, it's not financial advice. That's just what I'm personally doing. The way I look at it, I don't want to see people get wrecked. It wasn't, for instance, Bull Run Live. I have nothing against them. I mean, anybody's welcome to do an AMA here. But like I was telling with Larry, I was just like, I honestly think we should probably avoid sponsorships, because with sponsorships, we have to constantly promote a particular project. And you don't know, for instance, where the intentions are of that particular project, especially if it's ERC20 token related. But don't get me wrong, if we got sponsorship from like Quant or, some of these like blue chip cryptos, if you will, yeah, by all means, like we're going to, I'm already talking about a lot anyway. That's different. But, my thing is like, it does not set well with me to think that whether it's, you, Marvin Davis, you talk about your cousins, whether it's Miguel, I don't care who it is. The thought of, man, this guy dropped like $20,000 and, it took him like, how it is to say sometimes, you have a lot of expenses. Maybe some of you guys got out of like a bad divorce or whatever the case be. 20 grand is still 20 grand. I don't care who you are. To me, it's still a lot of money. Okay. That's nothing to bat an eye at. For some people, it's not much, but to me, it's still a lot of money. It's your hard-earned money. It's like, last I checked, most of us had full-time jobs. You had to work quite a while to obtain that, especially after taxes and so on. So it does not settle well with me in my heart, especially if I'm going to claim to be a Christian, which I am, right? I'm a sinner too at the same time. I don't mean that like, I don't listen like, some people say, oh, you're not a Christian because you listen to hip-hop music and stuff. Really? Seriously? Or watch a rated R movie. But my point is this, it does not settle well with me the thought of promoting something and somebody threw a bunch of money into it and the thing was blatantly garbage, and that there's sinister people behind the whole project and so on, where they're going to go to, like, for instance, a foreign country and use it for like hookers and blow or something like that. That's ridiculous. Don't want to get behind something like that at all. So yeah, while it's not financial advice, I will state stuff like this. I will make clarification, that we learn things from what happened in the past. At least for me, I still hold, unfortunately, a bunch of these meme tokens, like Luffy, whatever you want to call it. I think honestly, Robo Inu might still be a good project. I don't know. We'll see. But for the most part, I'm not really trying to, double check on what's going on in their Telegram or their Twitter and all these types of things. No, my thing is this: I'll still hold these as soon as I get any particular, if I can turn a profit, whatever it is, even after gas fees, then I'm going to take that. And then that will be like my power swap, so if you will. And I'll put it into the H bars of the world, the LCXs, the, maybe load up more on Jasmine, depending on, at this particular point, by then, maybe I can't do that with Jasmine because this is going to be too much. But I'll recognize what opportunities are still there. I still believe there'll still be certain ones that will still have opportunities. And that's where I'm at with that. All right, I'm going to go further down into the comments. Elon Musk gives us an update when it comes to Mr. Edward Vincent, a top shelf crypto. So Edward is here chilling. We cooking out tomorrow. That's awesome, man. That is so cool, man. You guys having T-bones, you guys having ribeyes, what you doing? So for me, my rule of thumb, guys, and not to knock on anybody, my number one choice when it comes to my steaks, like a porterhouse, like a ribeye, right? I have done cowboy ribeye in the past. It's just too big. It looks like a monster, but for me, it's just too big. I like kind of like some of my regular cuts, anywhere between 22 to 24 ounce ribeye, right? Prefer like a porterhouse style, and I'm good, And then my second choice is a T-bone. For people who are not into steak and stuff like this, understand with some of the terminology. So there's two sides of a T-bone. There's the filet mignon side. There's also the New York strip side. So that's my second choice, is a T-bone, right, for preference. And then my third choice, obviously, is like, like when you get the New York strips and stuff like that, all of those are is basically like, a portion that was cut off of, from original T-bone anyway. But ribeye, you can't go wrong with the ribeye, man. It's just got, especially if it's got that perfect amount of like caramelization. It's just got a little bit better caramelization compared to like a T-bone. But if somebody gonna give me a T-bone steak, am I gonna go play about it? Heck no. I think I gotta, disrespect, this thing goes like, backhand the gift horse in the face or whatever. I'm not gonna do that. All right, I'm gonna go further down into a few more comments, see what we got. Let me see. Joyce, I want to welcome you. Glad to have you back. Hopefully you caught the segment in regards to Bull Run Thesis part 7 or 8. I can't remember where we're at right now. I have to double check. But always glad to have you here. Joyce is an OG of OGs. Been watching us, I think, since like roughly late April or May of 2022. Appreciate you, Joyce. Always puts a smile on my face to see you here in the comments. All right. A Dreamer, welcome back. Tim Shea says, if you don't ever sell, you don't make profits. Having that said, PayPay has a ways to go. Yeah, listen to Tim Shea. Words of wisdom from the man himself, representing the 589th district of the XRP. Anyway. All right. Myria coin. Can't look at that tonight, but, maybe we can at some point. MO, hey, how much do you think quant will be by 2030? I've said that for the record. I think a minimum of 100,000. I know some people think I'm nuts, and it's okay. I could take the heat. Don't bother me. So that's a minimum. I've also said on a YouTube short that I believe that quant could very well be the first $1 million coin by 2030. I know some people think that's insane. It's like people say, you're just a dreamer, Max. Like, come on, man. You're an absolute dreamer. I hear you. But again, I will still re-advise people. If you have, for instance, BTC was able to go to 69K on 11/11/2021 with virtually no utility, it's just a quote unquote store of value, then what about the one with interoperability for up to over, I should say, 100 plus blockchains, with countless examples of what they do with APIs and secure smart contract for NFTs with QRC 721, and doing big things with CBDCs, whether you're for them or not. Perfect example, Shenzhen, China recently, right? The onboarding of 15 million people to get paid with a digital, yuan, right? But we understood that both Quant, MIT, and even IBM were part of that mix, right? Is that enough to thread the needle? Maybe not. But at some point in the future, if you have mass adoption and so on, and that becomes the norm, and Quant is connected to literally all this stuff, even the things that we use on a daily basis, PayPal, some of these other services, whether it's Google Pay, Apple Pay, other particular things that we just use on a daily basis for work. My point is this: BTC to 69K with none of that, Quant with all of that. Yeah, try your own conclusion. Do your own research. You might come to the conclusion that, all right, this guy who sounds crazy, maybe he knows what he's talking about when it comes to that. Maybe, you would want to look more into that. As far as Jasmine by 2030, I'm going to state this. That video I did, it said 1787. You got to keep in mind their KPI target is $500 per user, and I even think that might be lowballing, as we know with inflation, but going to 2030 and beyond, it might be possibly higher than that with a Q4 lockup. So it might very well be more than 1787 by 2030. It just depends how long a person's looking to diamond hand it. But forget all those crazy things, right? I don't want to do too much of moon boy talk, as the saying goes. It's not a popular thing, right? Once in a while I do it. And even the video I put out today for XLM, I was literally saying to myself, oh God, I'm sure there's going to be somebody going to be like, man, I was giving you credit about like, you don't do the moon boy stuff and you're doing a little bit of moon boy stuff here. I do try to back it up with like, look, this is what I'm referring to. But in regards to Jasmine, real quick, before I actually have to end the show, because, I want to watch this ball game. But what I was going to state is Jasmine easily, I believe could be, I want to say like minimum of, I'm going to go with $5 by 2030 at minimum. Try your own conclusion in regards to that. But how about this? In the bull run, like the real, like all-time highs for a bull run and so on, whether it's 2024 after the halving or 2025, I think we absolutely smashed the living heck out of $1 personally. And, look at the prices that we're at now. So, people say, well, what is your minimum goal for Jasmine? Like, how much should we accumulate? I would never be the type of guy to say, you need to buy $1,000 worth or $10,000 worth. I'm not going to do that. But I will state this, you could DCA into it maybe like once a week, maybe even once a month, right? You just got to set your goals. For me personally, I set my goals for 100,000 Jasmine. I already reached those goals. All right. I made it public, right? I don't care. I don't make all my portfolio public. But with Jasmine, I doubled my position last time, and I'm currently at about 205K Jasmine. Now, if we do have some doom and gloom and this thing tanks back to, I don't know, 0.0045, maybe that'll be my third bag. But whatever the case be, even if I didn't DCA more into it, I'm more than cool with the position I have in Jasmine, because technically speaking, I mean, that's, I don't know, like $1,500 into Jasmine or something like that. I mean, that's not the point. The point is recognizing what's on sale. It doesn't matter if it's Jasmine and whatnot. But anyway, hopefully that answers your question. And thank you for being here, Mr. M.O. Consider change your avatar to something that speaks more about who you are and what you're about. And guys, let's give M.O. the warm welcome. Thank you for doing that. Larry, welcome everybody. Hit the like button. It won't hit you back. That's funny. All right. Let's see here. Bud Dry was the best bud they ever made. Interesting. Never had that one. Miguel, that's right, Max. All right. Harry, there in the background for us. Hope you are well. Yeah, we do hope he's well. Or another bidet. Interesting. All right. There's a big wave of comments. Max, it'd be fun when Pepe runs. Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I guess I can't. I'm not gonna really kick myself in, in the butt if I pick up like $100. But to a sense, it is a form of FOMO. And think about this: there's so many people that are gonna have that same attitude. They're literally saying, I'll throw $100." And think of how many times that adds up. I mean, all it takes is like a few million people to just have that attitude. I'll just throw $100 at it, or I'll just throw $50 at it. That starts really, really adding up. So, I don't know. Maybe I do that. Maybe I don't. But if I don't, I'm not gonna really I'm not gonna be like beat myself up about it and so on. Why? Because in my portfolio, I'm still way up on a lot of these ones in profits. Am I down on a lot of things? Yeah, I'm down on a lot of things. But at the end of the day, my thing is I'm more focused on what can create some of that generational wealth. So, so what you missed on XLM, it's basically you guys who watched the live, you just go in the recorded video section, just go to Crypto Talk Now, you click on videos. There's some big news in regards to Australia, CBDCs, Novati Group is what they're called. They got things going on with Ripple and Stellar, but we want to put some emphasis on Stellar because this is something that's been an ongoing development since I believe late 2021, early 2022, and now you're starting to see things come out in regards to that. So my thing is, it doesn't matter if it's just XLM or Ripple or even talks of Quant with CBDCs. There's a lot that's going on, right? So it's like we talk about building in a bear market, XTC, Jasmine, all these particular ones. How about some of these other big players that are like, well, for me, part of my top 5 that built during a bear market, but have, let's face it, some of the CBDC connections and so on. What's going on with that? There's some big things going on with that, for Australia and even New Zealand. In the thumbnail, it doesn't even mention is New Zealand. You have to watch the video to get a little bit about that. So it is what it is. So Jokic got ripped off for MVP. Yeah, that's debatable. I think during the regular season, you got to keep in mind, Joel Embiid, personally, I feel as though he still deserved it. But if we're basing off going in, like the number 1 record, and all that stuff, yeah, you're right. I mean, those are definitely things to consider. Obviously I'm a Suns fan, but I have to admit, Michael Jordan got ripped off at MVP in 1993. Let's face it. Great job, Max. Suns in 7. Keep the faith. Yeah, I'm going to keep the faith for sure. All right. I think I'm going to have to keep going. And my thing is, I want to keep reading comments. Bullish. Max think XLM may get to 10K a coin. I think so. I used to think, it's Ripple's XRP at 10K, XLM at, 6,500, 7,500, but it could even be much higher than that. But the key thing is there's a select few, and it might be XLM, XRP, Quant that I'm married to, and I'm not saying that you guys got to do that. I'm just looking at it from my perspective. But most other things I will take profits on. But there is a select few that I'm just darn near married to, because I look at like in the future, if we talk about generational wealth, I can earn interest off of this, in the form of like stable coins. Because by that time, if you think about long term, we'll have that clarity, and the clarity basically states that you have to have things not be so volatile. So we will have legitimate stable coins. And if we can earn yields on the interest based off of that, then why would I want to be in a big hurry to sell it all off? That's just the way I look at it. Anyway. All right. Yeah, you're very welcome, Miguel. Glad to do it. Henry Brown, all you guys. Ice, baby. LOL, Ninja, rap, go. Oh, yeah. Ninja Turtles 2, right? Secret of the Ooze. We're all going to be millionaires in 4 years if we all survive World War III. Yeah. I'll leave this in closing, right? And I love you guys rock, right? I love you guys. Doesn't it suck that here we are, we're on the cusp of like getting that generational wealth. Like the world wants to end when we finally want to thrive. It's like, no, I'm not ready for, I love Jesus, for crying out loud, right? He's my Lord and Savior, but it's like, I don't want to get raptured yet, or I don't want the world to end or whatever right now. Like, I still want to live this life, I'm sure heaven's like way better, as the saying goes, but I don't want the world to go blow itself up while we're trying to live like the life of our dreams, for crying out loud. That's just the way I look at it. So yeah. Oh, there's another super chat. We ship in $1 here and then we become community sponsored channel. That way everything is authentic and stay real. Just a thought. Well, thanks. Yeah, I mean, I think Crypto Hulk mentioned some of those things, being community sponsored. But thank you for the $5 super chat, Mr. Henry Brown, as well as your other super chats, all you guys, right? I want to give a shout out to Beyond the Barbell. He says, love 100%. Guys, go ahead and give Beyond the Barbell a follow on YouTube. He covers Jasmine literally almost every day. And you're a good guy, man. I remember being the guy just starting out. And sometimes you just want somebody like to show you some love and give you some support. And that's why we do it. I remember being that guy. And technically speaking, I'm still that guy. We're not a great, big, huge channel or anything by any means yet. But yeah, give him a follow. And you're doing well, man. I mean, to go from, I remember, was it even a week ago, right? Something like that. You were trying to just get up to 100, and now you're like in what 300 something. So I think you're going to get up to like 500 probably within the next week Beyond the Barbell. So give him a follow, guys, for real. Give him a follow on YouTube. Just type in Beyond the Barbell. Look for this particular avatar, and you'll see that one. He does really quick segments on Jasmine. So I do deep dives. How about this? So I don't want to watch a deep dive all the time, Max. You could go over and watch Beyond the Barbell. He give you a quick 2.5 to like 5 minute video, and he recognizes certain things like cup and handles. Those are real things. Let's face it, right? Those are real bullish uptrends. And guess what? Beyond the Barbell was right on those cup and handles. Look where we're at for Jasmine right now. I won't be surprised if we hit 0.008. That means that we're only 0.2 of a penny away from a penny. My God. And we talk about that's a big milestone. That is going to be a big, big milestone. We'll be back in the top 100. And on top of that, we will have a bunch of FOMO money coming in because it's top 100 and because it's at a penny or more. Big things on the road for Jasmine and a lot of things, right? Happy Cinco de Mayo, $2 super chat. He says you got Canelo for the TKO win. Yeah, I'll have to tune in for that too. All right. Jasmine's going to make us millionaires. I got to get going. I'm going to miss this game if I don't. So that's right, brother Max. Thank you very much. I'm starting to think there'll be one blockchain rule them all. Just one. I'm thinking that you're saying it's going to be BSV, and that's fine. Rafael Santos, thank you for being here. Selmo Fudd, all you guys, you rock. Appreciate you guys. Moonbird, Dabs, not Jabs. Just kind of going through a little bit more here. Tommy, thank you so much for the 99. I should say 99 cent. It's actually worth more than 99 cents American, in euros. I had to convert that. So that's worth more. It might be, what would that be? I have to look that up later, but it's obviously more than $1. Thank you so much, Tommy. You're very welcome. Yeah, you're gonna get that, man. You're pleasing the algorithm. I'll give you a little recipe for success. Make it your goal to do at least one video a day, but preference 3 videos. So if you only doing a one video, it's like 2.5 minutes, right? Have the attitude, right? Like, hey, you know what? I want to do 5-minute updates anyway. That's only 15 minutes. You can more than do it. And you'll get there. The YouTube will reward you for that. If you do, for instance, you can look into this yourself. There's a thing, it's the 90-day rule. So you do a video every single day. Your YouTube will recognize that in 90 days, and then you go up to the next particular tier. You will start seeing yourself tick up like crazy. So, shout out to you, man. Keep killing it. And we're glad to, support a fellow brother, part of the Jasmine community, and also part of the CTN community. Give him a follow. All right. I really got to get going. Thank you so much for being here, guys. Go Suns. Hopefully they survive. Let me just check what the score is real quick. I almost want to not cringe. Dear God, please hope they're not, so far down. All right. First quarter, 6:37 left, 13-15. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, and then, of course, Chris Paul has that groin injury, so we'll see what happens. Lakers and Golden State, that's a big game Saturday. All right. So I'll give you guys an update. Larry has let me know that he will be back for the weekends for the time being. He did give me some bad news in regards to his eye, though. They did find something there, and he's going to have to go back and do another thing to find more information, which sucks in that regard. There's a possibility that he might not be comfortable with coming back on this weekend because of the recent news he gave me. So there's possibility I could still be here on the weekend, but just saying, expect to see Larry here on the weekend. Of course, I would like to have a weekend off. But whatever the case be, either I myself or him will be here. Thanks for tuning in for Crypto Talk Now. May you all have a blessed weekend, everybody. I really mean that, and can't thank you guys enough for supporting this community. Over and out for now. Have a great night, everybody.